Afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Not a great day at the office, and a result that could put Leeds in a little bit of trouble coming into the next couple of weeks with some tough games ahead. Of your comments down there below in the screen, but let me know your thoughts on the game. Let me know your thoughts on the before the game, during the game, and after the game. And I will try and do this a bit differently. I've taken the comments from people on board, but maybe coming into these being a little bit too critical. But I think today you probably get away with it. But I am going to balance this out. I'll give my thoughts on what I thought was good in each half and what I thought was bad in each half and areas that we need to work on. But as an overview to start this off, I'll do the overview first, then I'll do the bits and pieces as we go through it. But as an overview, Leeds United had plenty of the football today, and it was probably, I think the word I saw an awful lot during the watch along that we were doing over in Big Up was uninspiring. Was the word. Uninspiring team sheet, uninspiring tactics, uninspiring performance. For all the ball that Leeds United have, we didn't really at any point threaten at all the goal of the Brav kid. It was a couple of moments where Leeds probably should have scored 2 goals today. Brendan Aronson probably should score, and Jayden Bogle has an opportunity that we've seen him took those ones away before as well. So there's that as well. But when you looked at the team sheet coming into the game, the question mark was going to be, where are the goals going to come from? Where is the creativity going to come from? And for all the hard work Brendan Aronson does. I thought Brendan was okay today. I thought he did try and get in the box. He nutmegs a player. He gets in a couple of times. He's getting in behind and he works hard. But on the other side, you have Jack Harrison, who just keeps kicking the ball either out of play or bypassing players through crosses. And he's still at that point of going, well, what are we doing over there? And it's the question was going to be, of those 2 wide players, one's a hard working player. One has issues with goals and assists. No assist last season. Jack Harrison, only 1 goal for Everton. Where are the goals and where's the supply going to come for Dominic Calvert-Lewin? I thought Calvert-Lewin did whatever he could in terms of flick-ons and holding the ball up today that he could. But outside of that, the answer was pretty much in the scoreline. Leeds didn't do enough to create clear goal-scoring opportunities. Leeds didn't test the goalkeeper enough. And Leeds ended up in the game with 0. And I think a lot of people, when you saw that starting lineup, thought, 0-0 draw maybe? Can we get a 0-0? I thought in the preview I said Leeds would go get a 2-0 win. I thought, tried to be positive on it, and ultimately at the end, and David's telling me be as critical as you like. We'll get to it, David. We will get to it. The issue of my critical and how I approach reviews of games, and it should be pointed out, I'm a coach, and I've done my coaching badges, and I've looked at how games are analysed as well. And my initial thoughts after a game are to go straight into what are the areas that we can improve on, and where can we improve that? Also, big shout out here. Thanks for the like. If you could like the video, it would be great. We have put a post out about this, and we put it on X as well. YouTube's algorithm has changed. We found out exactly what the changes are. They're deprioritizing desktop and laptop style videos, so the ones that we kind of make here, and they're prioritizing mobile ones. And funnily enough, mobile videos pay less than the ones on a landscape. Now, YouTube won't talk about it. I've asked them, they won't talk about it. But basically, we're not being seen in your feeds anymore. So unless you come looking for us, the only way to get it is to press the bell icon, which is down below where the subscribe button is. That tells you when we go live. It's the only way to get out of it. But we're reviewing everything right now. And if the channel continues to have these issues with YouTube, we probably don't survive beyond Christmas. But we're trying to at least push through to that time and give it some time to maybe fix itself. So if you could stick a like on it, and after, if you're watching on demand, there's a little hype button. You can press that afterwards as well. That would be great. But we get back to the game. And as an overview, plenty of football. Not a lot of creative spark. And we know that that's not there. And I think this is a time we have to start realizing that that's not there. So how do we score goals? And we've got to start looking at a change of approach. I mean, Jakob Biel must be scratching the back of his head and wondering, why did I sign for this club? I was rated as a top defender in Serie A. I was playing with Udinese. I was playing with a decent club. I was doing well. I have a World Cup coming up. I've had 2 internationals under my belt where I've played well, where the press labelled him as leading his backline with authority. And he comes back into Leeds. And again, for me, Pascal Struijk is culpable for one of the goals. He gives the ball away sloppy. And then he can't get back. And he gets bypassed and they score eventually. A couple of passes later, they score. We'll go through that in more detail. But just, top line, some interesting ones here. Daniel Farke will stick with his team. And we've said this before. If Noah Okafor hadn't been injured coming into this game, it was likely to be the exact same 11 again. And we saw this last season from Daniel Farke. He will continue to play the same team until something wrong goes. That's his bench. He's bought those players. He's done all that work. Rotate your side. If Brendan Aronson can start the games, and so can El Tanaka. Anton Stack for me today wasn't great as well. But let me know who stood out for you, who you thought was good today, and who you thought would not necessarily let us down, but wasn't great today, or weren't at their best today. Because I think there's a couple that stand out. But when you've got as much possession as Leeds had, and you can see it there, Leeds have what? Sorry for leaning forward. 68% possession. And we managed 4 big chances, didn't score in them. 19 shots in total. Keepers made 1 save. 1 save from 19 shots. And that's everything you need to talk about. So maybe go back to BL. Maybe Farke needs to look at changing this formation. Maybe he needs to go 3 at the back and let Goodmunson and Bogle be the wider options, put a second striker up front and change it a little bit, because it's uninspiring. It is uninspiring. And now you've gone from a situation where, had we won this game, we'd have opened a 7-point gap to Burnley. Now they're 1 point behind us. And we've got West Ham, Nottingham Forest, and Burnley coming up. And if we don't get results in those games, those teams will bypass us. And Leeds could find themselves very much in a position where they are in the bottom 3 going into a December where there's not a lot of games in there we can win. Man City before it, Chelsea, Liverpool twice. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're coming out of that and you could be sitting stuck in the relegation zone by then. So something has to change. And Farke can talk an awful lot about, well, we didn't get the right winger that we wanted to get. And that's fair enough. We didn't. Yeah, fine. And he can talk about, well, Noah Okafor got injured, but you bought him. You know, you okayed that sign and you knew there was issues with him coming in. So all this stuff is known information. At some point, you've got to look at it and go, how do we change our approach to the game? Leeds have conceded again this week 2 goals. And if you look at Leeds over the last couple of games, we're starting to ship goals. We've conceded 2 today, 2 against Tottenham, 2 against Bournemouth, 1 against Wolves, 1 against Fulham. So that's what? 2, 4, 6, 8 goals in 4 games that we've conceded. And we have a £15 million international centre-back sitting on the bench gathering dust and not getting into the side. So something's got to change. And it has to change for the next game. This can't be the same 11 that goes out, because that 11 to me screams relegation. Jack Harrison has been in and around teams in the bottom 4, including us and Everton, in the past 4 years. That's where he's been. Brendan Aronson got relegated with us. You know, these are players that were there. Pascal Stroke was relegated with us. Now he starts every single game. So that's the issue. But again, for all of that stuff, very little chances on goal. Very little working of a goalkeeper. And then, I go back to, again, uninspiring. If you look for a title on this or a clickbait headline, it's uninspiring. Uninspiring lineup, uninspiring tactics, uninspiring decisions being made, and then uninspiring performance on the park. But funnily enough, and we'll go through it in detail, first half wise, I was actually happy enough with most of the first half. As a first half, in terms of, it was fine. I thought we started the game pretty well. We were good in possession. We were steady. There needed to be a lot more movement off the ball. We can be a bit static off the ball, which makes it difficult to pass out and pass into areas. The players need to move more off the ball in terms of trying to create space for Leeds to be able to play into and run into with the defensive players as well. But outside of that, I thought it was decent enough start. And then the goal comes, 18 minute out of nowhere, Ukachukwu. Now, initially I thought Joe Rodon was marking him, and Joe walks to the front post and points back at him. And then nobody marks him. Jack Harrison doesn't go and cut the cross out, which is something also Leeds have got to start doing, and start blocking crosses. Brendan Aronson, to his credit, does that very, very well. But that cross comes in with Jack Harrison with his hands behind his back 10 yards away from him, and he allows a player like Kyle Walker, who's a multiple-time Premier League winner, and I'm pretty sure he won the Champions League, he was in that Man City squad as well, to just pick his pass and clip it into the penalty area. And then if it was Stack or Rodon, let me know in the comments who it was, because my view of it was, I thought Joe Rodon walked away from him and then pointed back and no one picked him up. But someone else has said, Paul said to me, and Joe Blackburn said that it was Anton Stack. But let me know who it was, because I'm not 100% sure who it was. I don't want to point a finger of blame unless I'm 100% convinced. But someone leaves him go. And in the Premier League, if you manage to leave a centre-back who can head a ball in the 6-yard area completely unmarked, you deserve what you get. And the ball ends up in the back of the net. And it's a poor defensive goal for our perspective. From a Burnley perspective, it's a good cross and a very good header. But from our perspective, really, really poor. It was Stack. Thanks, mate. Mark has just confirmed it there for me. Thanks, Mark. So it was Stack leaving. We'll talk about Stack again in a second on the second goal as well. But then after that, we go back to playing okay. We're still good in possession. We're not creating anything, but slow enough play, but we're keeping hold of the ball. And then we get a huge chance in 31 minutes where, to Jack Harrison's credit, he cuts in field and he could shoot, but he takes the better option and he plays the percentage. He lays it on to Brendan Aronson, and running onto that ball, it's got to be hit with your laces across the keeper into the far corner. And Brendan hesitates a little bit and then hits it. And then it goes straight at the keeper, but he's hit it hard enough that it bounces through him, hits the post. But it's pretty much straight at the goalkeeper. That needs to find the corner before to give Manny a chance to score on that one. He doesn't do it, and it's unlucky and it's not, but it should be a goal. That, for me, should be a goal every single day of the week. And a couple of minutes later, you see Jayden Bogle come onto a similar one with a load of players in front of him, and he just hits it, smacks across the ball, which is what you want to see in that position. He's absolutely nailed the ball, and it's a tougher decision. It goes off, bounces off players, and ultimately nothing from it. But that's what you want to see Brendan Aronson in that situation do. And I think if Jayden Bogle is the one running onto that chance, he probably finds the bottom corner and Leeds take the lead. Even at Dan James, I thought Dan James coming on was good. Emmett's right. Aronson's shooting's not great. It's not. It never has been, but it's not great. And I find it hard to assess Brendan because he holds the ball up very well for us at times. He created 2 or 3 decent chances, and he works really hard. But you get what you get from Brendan Aronson. You know full well he's not going to get many assists. He's not going to get you goals. The creativity is not there. So what do you do at that stage? You persevere with him, or do you look at changing the formation, the shape a little bit? And that's the issue for me. Then at 45 minutes, Leeds get a free kick. Anton Stack stands over like he's going to put it in the top bins. And he hits it well. It's pretty central. And Dubravka probably overdoes the save a little bit for the cameras, but makes the save and you go in at half time. And he's 5 shots in the first half and we're doing all right. And if I break it down to the good and the bad, for me in the first half, the good was we were good in possession. Our ball retention was pretty decent as well. Our front press was very good. The aggression still isn't there that was there against Newcastle and Everton, which I would want to see come back. That intensity's gone out of Leeds this game, and I want to see that come back because that was what was our strong foundation for what we were going to do this season. But yeah, front press was decent. Gabby and Sean Longstaff, I thought in the first half were doing well, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin was winning his headers. What wasn't good in the first half was we lacked creative spark. We poor crosses into the penalty area, not good enough crosses in. Movement off the ball was non-existent, and goal-wise, not defending correctly, not marking players. In the 6-yard area from a cross, we were set up for that, and we managed to lose a player. So not good enough at all in that. But there was a decent foundation to go into the second half. But this is the area now that I want to talk about because at halftime, you want to see Leeds come out in the second half and be sharp. And Leeds have not started second halves particularly well this season, and it was a really poor, slow start to the second half for Leeds. I said 55 minutes I wrote down. Slow start, mostly Burnley. Aronson has one created chance, nutmegs to the fullback, goes infield, smashes it across the back, and Nzebe manages to get across Dominic Calvert-Lewin and clear it. 58 minutes, we get a chance. Jack Harrison, after Sean Longstaff cross, Jack Harrison comes onto it with a volley and manages to volley it straight down into the ground. It bounces over the crossbar. 63 minutes, 5 minutes later, another chance for Leeds. A corner from from Sean Longstaff to the back post. Joe Rodon wins a header back across goal to the edge. Jack Harrison again lashes the ball miles over the crossbar. No composure at all. 65th minute, Lucas Mecha has a header from a Gabby Goodmunson shot, but it's pretty tame. There's no power in it really, and goes straight to the keeper. And then the 67th minute, Leeds have all the ball, all the possession, and the goal against comes. And it starts very simply with a pass from Pascal Struijk that is under hit and doesn't make it to Gabby Goodmunson. It's a poor pass from Struijk, and they run down the side, and Pascal Struijk can't get there. He bypasses him. Anthony goes past him, holds the ball up. Leeds get a couple of bodies back and have a chance to defend it. They pass it around a little bit, and then it goes to Chuana, who scores the goal. And Anton Stack is 5 yards away from him, looking at the ball. And then it goes to him, and he realizes that probably should be me. And he can't get there. Now, it's a wonder strike. He's absolutely smashed it in the top corner. It's a great goal from his perspective. From a Leeds perspective, nobody tries to block the shot. Nobody's close enough to mark him in a defensive area for me, and that's a problem. And that shot should never get out of his feet. He should never be in a position to take a touch, look up, find a spot, and pick it. That's way too much time. Leeds are too reactive. And there was a couple of times in the first half and second half that I thought Anton Stack was static and waiting for something to happen and wasn't expecting mistakes to happen and wasn't expecting the ball to come to him and was standing still and wasn't moving. I didn't think Stack was great today. I thought he was non-existent for most of the game. Started the second half a lot better than he did in the first half, but then went out of the game again. 70-minute Leeds get another chance. Longstaff cross, DCL heads it across the goal. Bogle has a great chance to just either pop his head on it, diving header into it, or tap it in. It's on the thumbnail, you can see it. And he side foots it over the crossbar. It's a great chance for Leeds United. Probably should score. 75th minute, I wrote down, wasteful in possession, not clinical, and we're not moving off the ball. And that was a part of the entire game. 86th minute, Leeds get another chance. Gabby Goodmunson breaks into the box, pulls the ball back for Joe Pirro. To Pirro's credit, it's probably a little bit behind him, and he has to wrap his foot back around it. And it ends up going over the crossbar. And then DCL, at 90 minutes, we have a chance. Joe Rodon header straight at the goalkeeper. Burnley, at that point, I wrote down, Burnley look more likely to score third than Leeds do to get a first. And then 96 minute, DCL has a header that hits the back of the crossbar, top of the net, and goes out of play. And then at the end of it, balancing this out again. So good and bad. Give them both sides of this, right? The good stuff, Leeds kept going and kept pushing. We started in the first half, in their half of the pitch. We were proactive, I suppose, and trying to push forward. Dan James, I thought, made a bit of an impact when he came in. We were getting balls into the penalty area. He looked more of a threat. He was one thing that he was doing that Jack Harrison wasn't doing was running at the fullback and forcing him to back off and then making them make decisions. Ethan Ampadu thought a very steady game, was picking up second balls and was keeping Leeds taking over. Sometimes Ethan can be a little bit slow and pedestrian in the ball, but in general, he's safe with the ball. He keeps it moving. He keeps Leeds taking over. I thought Jayden Bogle worked hard again today. But the big point of all of this, and this is a great show. All of this was against Burnley, who were in the relegation zone coming into this game. And had Leeds won, you're 7 points clear. You lose, you're a point behind. Okay, that's fair. You think Amadou was fine. I'm talking about just in terms of when he gets the ball, he doesn't give it away, he doesn't lose it. Longstaff lost plenty of ball today. Stack wasn't really in the game. And we were sloppy. Like Sean Longstaff, 1 point in the second half, has loads of space, gets a touch, touches it out of his feet, and it's heavy touch, and he loses it straight away. And he had space. But yeah, bad stuff. We poor touches across the second half. Poor forced touches. That's fair as well. That is fair. I'll take your point, though. Poor forced touches across the place. Sloppy passes. Most of the passes where we were doing either smashed into players' feet when they were surrounded by defensive bodies, or pass behind players when you're trying to get forward, which kills your momentum, and you have to go back and get the ball, turn around. That allows the defense to set, and away you go again. Not looking like we're going to score with all the possession that we have, and not taking the chances when we did get them, not being clinical when we had those chances. So, yeah, all in all, let me know your thoughts on the game. Stick them in the comments now. I'll start throwing a few up on screen. We'll have a bit of a chat for a few more minutes while we're here. But yeah, it's a tough one now. Leeds are now 15 to 8 points. We're now only 3 points behind ahead of Nottingham Forest in the relegation zone. So one result, and you've got Forest to play. They beat you, you're in the relegation zone. We've conceded more goals again. And I'm going to put this up on screen because I think this is an issue we're talking about. We talked an awful lot about defensive solidity for Leeds this season, but it's gone away. And it's gone away pretty quickly and pretty spectacular. I get the overlay off the screen. I'll pop this up. And if we look at this, these are Leeds games. This was the start of the season, right? So back to Everton, right? Ignore that one. Go back to Everton. We can't go back to Everton. It's been there screen. Anyway, after Arsenal, right? Newcastle, really physical, in their faces, aggressive. Didn't let them play. Hit them hard in tackles. 150-50s, 1 second balls. Don't concede. Against Fulham, we drop off at half an hour to go and we concede in injury time. Wolves, we got 3 against them. We still conceded 1. Then this happens. Bournemouth, we concede 2. Spurs, we concede 2. Burnley, we concede 2. Leeds have conceded 6 goals in their last 3 matches. And we start to look at this league table. That gap there now is starting to get bigger. This is a problem. This last run of results is becoming a problem. And where the next win's going to come from, only for Nottingham Forest and West Ham today, or Nottingham Forest, losing and Wolves losing today, that could be a very different looking story. They've sacked Ange Postecoglou. They're going to go with Sean Dyche for the rest of the season. So we'll have to deal with Sean Dyche when they come up against us. But this is it. These are now only a point behind us. Fulham, again, look at that. If 3 points today, you're up here. You're up in 10th position and you're opening that gap. And Leeds need to open that gap because, again, going back to the fixtures, these are the next 2. You got West Ham next, then we've got Brighton, then we've got Nottingham Forest, then you have the international break. Coming out of the international break, you've got Aston Villa, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool. Maybe you win against Brentford, but by that stage you could be in trouble. Crystal Palace, a must win against Sunderland. Liverpool, Manchester United. That's a hell of a run to be where we are in the league right now. Leeds had opportunities to win the game. And I do want to talk a little bit about Daniel Farke. I'm not going to start talking about sacking people, but I do want to talk a little bit about him. For me, Daniel Farke gives too many sides far too much respect. The build up to this game was all about where the underdogs coming into this game. And it's, oh, by the way, that is another international break where Leeds have not won. Leeds have only won 4 times on the back of an international break. And at what point is Daniel Farke going to actually start taking responsibility for that and looking at how he approached that? Maybe don't give the players time off during the international break because the international players haven't got time off. They're going playing football. Letting lads go off to play in Marbella and do training camps on their own. Maybe keep them around the place and sort the stuff out when you go into this game. And excuse my French here, make sure your shit is sorted out going into these matches instead of giving players time off to have a rest when the international players who are deemed to be the better players of your squad are off training and playing matches. Maybe keep the lads around the place because whatever we're doing with international breaks, we're not, it's affecting us coming out of them. We didn't look like we were going to score a goal today. And that's not the first time that that's been said. So that has to be looked at. Has to be looked at. These will be in the bottom 3 by the end of the next international break. And that has to be looked at as well. I mean, this is your next 3 games now. Daniel Farke wouldn't say that this was a must-win game. For me, it was. For me, it was. And in the context of the fact that they came up with us and we finished ahead of them. They're in the bottom 3. We could open a gap, and we need that gap. And we didn't get it. And the other part of this as well is Daniel Farke has played Burnley 3 times as Leeds United manager and has yet to beat them. Scott Parker's beaten him twice. Scott Parker has beaten him twice. And the other one was a draw where Leeds didn't score. So that has to be looked at. Okay, a couple of comments. Snell's saying he's an uninspiring figure on the bench and I hate how he doesn't give anything a chance. He's too safe. We can't afford to turn up against Burnley and all these teams. Yeah. Do you fancy the manager's job, Jer? No. Farke is just full of excuses, doesn't do anything to address the issues until they're so obviously, they're so obvious in their face. And that's the issue. There's no rotation on this squad until something bad happens. Then we look at changing it. And Estelle, we are conceding. Do we give our centre half a debut? Why can't we? Why can't going in? Put my glasses back on for you. Sorry, folks. Get my glasses back on so I can actually read these. We are conceding. Do we give our new centre half his debut? We can't keep doing what we have starting and give Joint Bial his chance. Might as well sell Bial. He plays his favourites. And I agree with you on that as well. Leeds will be in the bottom three by the international break. Bial should start up front if we offered nothing whatsoever. Sunderland bought the right players. But Sunderland have got an attack-minded manager, a creative manager. We're married to a single system every season. It seems we always want to sacrifice a goal to pin everything on. And guess who they've picked? Well, is that because I'm saying Stroke? Because it's not about Stroke. It's about the managers making the right decisions. But you can tell me in a minute, mate. I respect your opinion, so you can let me know. Forest approach from Roberto Mancini. Okay, fair enough. If Jack Harrison is I've said this for weeks. If Jack Harrison is the answer to the problem, we are getting relegated. Well, I always say, if Jack Harrison is the answer, what is the question? And the points thrown away, Fulham and Bournemouth. Yeah, we threw points away. They conceded late in those games. Do we need a new manager or give Farke time? I don't know. It usually takes Daniel Farke's sides 10 games to get going. And I said in pre-season, we don't have 10 games in the Premier League to get going. But we'll see how it goes, Ronnie. At least a must not lose. Yeah, that's the big one. It was a must not lose. When I saw the starting lineup, I was like, right, we don't have a lot of options here unless you change the system. Maybe you should go to a back three and put two up front and let Goodmanson and Bogle be your wide players. Maybe you should do that. That's where the creativity needs to come in. If you haven't got the creativity on the pitch, be creative with your tactics. Figure out new ways to create chances and score goals. Didn't beat Russell Martin either. Yeah, it couldn't be him, and that hasn't aged well. Pedestrian performance, I would agree with you in the first. Yeah, pedestrian, but I think in the first half of the game, I'm kind of okay with that, but I will agree with you on being pedestrian performance. And that's not the first time, Simon, that's been said this year by this Leeds United side. Again, outside of those first couple of games where Leeds were aggressive and on the front foot. Graham says, Jerry, you're 100% correct. Appreciate that, mate. Vendrick says, at least go for 3-4-1-2 with Rodon, Bial, Stroke, Bogle, Goodmunson, Ampadu, Longstaff, Tanaka, DCL. Yep, well, there's an option straight away. There's an option. Stroke and Stack must be dropped. Harrison 2. Hannibal is a sausage. Yeah, he was a pain in the arse when he came on, wasn't he? I'd like to see Bial and Tanaka in for Stroke and Stack. If we don't change it up, I would be surprised if 0 points in the next 3. At that point, I think his job is under serious pressure. Serious. Because he's not going to get any points coming into December, is he? If we're the underdogs against Burnley, what are we against? Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, Man United again. Those games. Sorry. But yeah, there we go. Cries for a change in formation. I get that the roster isn't ideal, and especially with the injuries, but there are clear chances that can help, changes that can help. We won't do it. We're likely the same team next week. I would agree with you on that one. Rather get rid of Farke than sell Bial. We're going to be in a situation where new players have come in and aren't playing. There's too many championship players still in that starting 11 for me. Strikers, no improvement on Bamford. Well, I will defend the strikers today. They really got no supply. Nothing really clear cut. So I'll defend them there. And I thought what they had to do in terms of holding the ball up when their headers, they did that well. But you've got to start looking at how we get. I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin just needs crosses. We're not talking about unlocking a defense with a 3-line defense splitting pass. We're talking about getting into an area and whipping a decent cross in. I mean, Jesus, that's the basic of football, isn't it? Is that too much to ask for, that decent cross of a ball to a 6'4" striker? Even with Lucas Meche, the crosses aren't going into dangerous areas. They put one good cross in and scored from it. How are Sunderland looking like the better of the 3 teams coming up? Because they've got an attack-minded coach who brought in attack-minded players and players that would push forward. We brought in defensive midfielders. Not that there's a problem. Sean Longstaff I like. Farke is scared of the Premier League. I don't know. Maybe he's allergic to it a little bit. I'm getting to the point where I think changes need to be made. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing. But we said this last year, this time with Daniel Farke as well. 49ers didn't fully back Farke. Oh, I don't know if I agree with that. They missed out on one player. Outside of that, Farke got everybody else he asked for. They missed out on one. I don't think that's fair. And if the shift of the blame is going towards the ownership, Farke got far more money than he got at Norwich. He got a brand new goalkeeper. He got 2 brand new centre backs. He got a brand new left back. He got 2 brand new midfielders. He got 2 brand new strikers, and he got a brand new winger. I mean, that's backing. Thought they bought well. Yeah, I agree with you on that as well. Seen enough. Farke out for me 100%. Sunderland manager has balls. It isn't tact. And this is going back to the giving teams too much respect. He doesn't sit there and talk about being an underdog. He talks about going at teams, going into games and being on the front foot. Like, we're going to go and play Burnley. Yeah, we're going to go and try and get 3 points. We're going to try and be aggressive. We're going to try and get at them. We're going to do our game. We're going to do it to the best of our ability. Daniel Farke sits there and says, we're the underdogs. I don't believe it's a must-win game. He'd take a point on the road. He talks about a point per game. You tell me where the points per game are going to come against Aston Villa, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Liverpool again, and then Manchester United. Where's the 1 point going to come there? So if you're not getting a point per game there, you've got to pick up 3 points somewhere else. That point per game, we're now at 8 games played, 8 points. We're a point per game. That point per game is going to fall away now after the next international break, if it's not addressed in the next 3 games. Jack Freyport today, just rubbish. If you prefer. Yeah, fine. Yeah, zero creativity. No, nothing from him. Aronson played okay, but he cost 25. Completely agree. I've never agreed with the fee we paid for Aronson. If you listen to Marcelo Bielsa's comments today about what he wants from a player, Brendan Aronson actually ticks an awful lot of those boxes. But the fee was too much for what we got. And that's probably what's been around Brendan's neck for far too long. Sometimes the fan base needs to learn 2 things can be true. The roster may not be ideal, but the manager may not be either. That's a very good point. The team can perform better. In my opinion, Stack needs benching and out, and we all need to come in. Yeah, I think that's a very fair point. 2 things can be true at the exact same time. You don't have to. This is the thing about tribalism. I hate it. Hate tribalism. It doesn't have to be one side or the other. It can be both. It can be neither. It can be the bit in the middle. It can be common ground, The board's goal is to get a point per game in defensive controlling approach, but it's a tough task to score when you've got DCL up front. You've got to create chances. I was a striker. I was a very similar striker. I was a big, tall, I'm 6'4", so I was a number 9, whose job was to either hold the ball up or get your head on the end of stuff and create chances. And the amount of times I played for certain teams where you'd be running around all day, you just, at the end of the game, you didn't score. You didn't create any chances for me. You didn't give me the ball in an area where I can score a goal. And that has to be looked at as well. And again, I go back to it, not being I'm not looking for Diego Maradona or, a prime Ronaldinho to go in the middle of the park and start stroking balls around. I'm looking for someone to put a half-decent cross into a bloke that can head a ball. That's it. That's all I'm looking for. We need to change the system. Tanaka needs to be on the pitch. Aronson doesn't make it work. That's his job. That is his job. It's correct as well. I am Pascal, but I meant kind of the fan base can collective and kind of sense and a kind of consensus. So the comment was necessarily aimed at Saudi. Yeah, but that's fine, mate. And I do respect your opinion. I said that. There's no issues there. Championship team with Nanto, James Tanaka better than today's team. Yeah, I agree with you there. Can win possession, but not win games. Absolutely. Slow, boring, predictable performance from Farke. Again, we've said that a lot. It comes down to the manager. He's one that sets the team up. Sunderland have a brave manager that seems to believe in his players. Farke tries to play safe. At times, subtly negative. Uninspiring is the word again. Does Darlow need calling out? I don't know. And I mean that. I'm not sitting on the fence with this. I'm in the fact of the second goal is an absolute banger, and it's come at my. When you look at it in slow motion, you think his hand is there. Maybe he gets a stronger hand to it. But when you look at it in full speed, it's hit. And for the question for me is, why does nobody press that ball? And why is there not a player already beside him? Why has he got that much space on the edge of the penalty here? Because we didn't get that today. We didn't get that. Passing is too slow. I have said that, Arthur, and I've said that for 3 years. Tempo, tempo, tempo. It's not there. And when we move it quickly, we're very good. Stack isn't it? He's not. He's a central defensive midfielder, and he's been played out of position. Didn't look like the same team on the pitch today. That happens sometimes against Burnley. Did it look like the same team on the pitch that was out against Spurs and Bournemouth? Because it kind of did to me a little bit. Really hope that we don't get and go into meltdown on Farke and bring in a Big Ange. No, you're not bringing in Big Ange. He's not getting another Premier League job after being sacked from Forest. Doesn't happen. There's somewhere in the middle. You need somebody who's got a bit of tactical nous about him, can change things up a little bit. Not a Sam Allardyce and not a Sean Dyche. Somebody that can do it, But yeah, loads of comments there, folks, and I really appreciate putting them in. Telly, why not play 4-4-2? Nobody does anymore, and you give up the midfield. But what you can do is play 3-5-2 or 3-4-1-2. We can do it that way. There's ways around that. But yeah, 4-4-2 just leaves up too much space in the middle of the park. So you won't do that because it's dangerous in the Premier League. But not to say there isn't an option for 2. There is. Amadou's job is to press in that situation. Yeah, but the centre backs, someone needs to get out. Somebody needs to get out. Chris says that Darlow isn't the problem. It's how that we set up fine in possession, but do nothing with the ball. Yeah, it's predictable. It's too slow. I mean, how often do we manage to exploit defenses pushing out and get in behind them and catch them on counterattacks? By the time we get out there, we turn around and come back. They all get back and they get set. So yeah, it is. We still not copping with a couple of low blocks. No, 3 at the back would have given Biel an opportunity, and he's good in the 3 as well. 3 at the back, Goodmanson and Bogle wing backs might get some balls into the penalty area. Yeah, I'm so angry with Daniel Farke at the moment. Yeah, I didn't like the lineup. I didn't like what I saw afterwards. Can't be seen out in public after this. I think Dyche would give us more. Sean Dyche is so backwards in his tactical. If you watched Everton last year, and I know I've Everton friends, and my God, they hit the football was garbage. They said none of it was about quality. All of it was about workhorse players, and that's why he loved Jack Harrison, and that's why he played Jack Harrison. You're ending up going back to that. And that if you think this is turgid, that is anti-football. Again, Sean Dyke is your answer, and the question is dangerous, so I don't know. Joe B in the chat, how you doing, Joe, mate? I just straight up had it tonight. I missed Marcelo during this one. Yeah. Not saying, I know that. I know you're not saying you want them. We've got to think more creatively, though. We've got to look outside and see who else there is. There are managers. I wanted Carlos Corberán 2 years ago. I was told I was mad. Doing a cracking job. Villarreal are a weird side, but Valencia are a weird side, but he's still a good coach and gives you a bit of both. But there are other managers out there. Like up Perry's number one and Claire Darlow. I like Lucas. I'm not saying Perry shouldn't be the number one. Like I defended him when other people weren't defending him at the start of the year. I'm just saying I don't think I put all the problems at Carl Darlow's feet right now and go, well, Carl Darlow's the problem. I think there was other problems there as well. Should have gone with 3 at the back with both. Yeah, that seems to be a general consensus from everybody. Going to Forest, I hope. Teddy says 17 shots to their 4. Cooper approached it like a Champo manager and 1 points. We're doing it the same. It's not working. Would have liked to see Biot, Pascal, and Ronald as the back 3 without Okafor and Nanto, the team playing 2 up front with DCL and either Pirro or Nemecha in support. Farke doesn't use the systems. Underperforming this window, underperforming this league. Darlow not a fault. Farke lost 15 points in a row against Norwich. Nanto and Okafor would have made all the difference. They would, but when you haven't got them, that's the manager's job to make it work. Whether it's younger players, whether it's Chambers or Chadwick, whether it's changing the formation, whether it's changing your point of attack, stuff like that. Long throws being back in fashion. Maybe it's time to get Tony Pulis back in. Maybe, yeah. In the Quinn Phillips partnership. Yeah. Who was a 9 and 10? I don't know. Oh, I think it's Pirro and one of the other 2. Could work. What's your record, Dominic Calvert, Bamford? Well, I don't think he's Pat Bamford because I don't think he's missing those chances. But again, it comes down to creating chances. He's not getting chances to be created for him. Can we all agree Farke ain't a Premier League manager yet? We're getting to that point, I think. Rafa Benitez, he's been out of football for a long time. Not been at the top end of it for a while either. There's other options. Don't get Sean Dyche, mate. Don't do that to us. Don't do that. It's like the same people thought Sam Allardyce was a good idea when it really wasn't. We can do better than that. We have to believe that this club is bigger than someone like him. Someone that will go into a press conference and not want to talk to the press, not want to say anything, be pissed off all the time. Come on. I think we can do better than that, mate. This is why those 3 lost points matter so much. Yeah. Big mistakes. Probably, but he's out injured at the moment. He won't be playing for Valencia for a while. Biel needs to be given his chance. Brendan Rodgers. I have Celtic fan friends and they hate him. Hate him up there. And they haven't liked him since he's gone back. They don't like his football. 8 games in, and we're talking about youngsters again. No, I didn't mean it like that. I meant that the manager's got to look at more options, be a bit more creative, and look at the entire picture and go, well, look, maybe if there's not an out-and-out right winger, do we have one in the youth ranks that could maybe come onto the bench and come on in the last couple of minutes if you need it? Maybe you start Dan James for 45 minutes and take him off then rather than bringing him on for the last 40, something like that. But I'm not there saying play the kids. I'm definitely not. And if you've listened to me, sorry, on this before, I'm the one that always says, let them develop, leave them alone. But just making the point that you've got to be a bit more creative. If James was fit to come off the bench, he was fit enough to start. I would agree with you with that. West Ham will be a tough game against Nuno. It will be. I feel like Farke goes into the games with the excuses already, giving us a reason to lose. We set him up at the press conference. He's done that for a while. International break, he mentioned it again, the press conference. I think I said this time last year, are we just going to write off every game after international break because a couple of your players go away? A lot of players stayed. Wrong team choice, wrong subs. Can't believe I'm saying this, but what about... Stop it. Ellen Road has to be a fortress. Yep. Manager, who do you think the answer for us is Jer? Have you any ideas? I haven't looked properly enough. I would have taken a Jose because I think he would have been less respectful of other people. I think we'd like his shithousery. He's not a top-end manager anymore, but I think he would have come in with a chip on his shoulder. But I'm open to be contradicted on that completely because I do see there's lots of reasons not to do that either. But today's game, we needed 7 points from the next 5 games. Can't see that happening. No, I can't. Harrison's still in 11. Do you have faith in the current recruitment team? I don't think the recruitment's been the issue because I think there's different options. I think we've all talked about it tonight. We've all talked about the different options that were there and available. But rather than doing that, we've gone with the same, again, pretty much the same 11 outside of the injured players that has to be replaced. Outside of that, it's going to be the same. But yeah, I don't know. You're not getting Frank anyway, even if he is an option. Jose definitely would have been a good choice. I think he would have scared people. Shut up and sound like that. Well, yeah, I'm agree with you on that. Had confidence after the Geordies. Now it's gone. We were not this, and we'll wrap it up on this. The Leeds United side that's playing now is not the same Leeds United side that was playing against Everton and against Newcastle United. The intensity isn't there. The speed isn't there. The aggressiveness isn't there. And I don't know whether we got comfortable, but we've gone back to where we were at this time last season in the championship, where it's slow enough football, up against the low block, lack of creativity, lack of ideas, lack of creating chances. It's not the first time we've said this. Like, again, there's positives in some areas. We should have scored twice today. We should have. Absolutely should have. Brendan Aronson should score. There's no version of that in that position where an attacking player who's supposed to be a 10 naturally doesn't score. Jayden Bogle from the back post. He's done that before. Just nip in, tap it into the back of the net. Done. Puts it up in the air. Put off by a goalkeeper. So you should have scored twice today, and we didn't. But we are where we are now. And now you've got West Ham next at home. You've got to win. And someone's going to say to Daniel Farke, is this a must win? And he's going to say, no, it's not a must win. If he brings up the point per game again, we are now at that. 8 games, 8 points. We were ahead of it. And the last 3 matches, we've fallen away from it. We've conceded 6 goals in 3 matches. And he hasn't changed the defense or the keeper. And now he has chances to do that. Right? So now we go into 24th is what? That's Friday, isn't it? 24th is Friday night? Yeah. Massive chance. Has to go and get a win against West Ham. And then that changes the narrative a little bit. If he loses that game at home, you've got Brighton when you lose that, then you are definitely into change the manager territory at that point, because then you've got a hell of a run at Christmas. So you've got the best chances are always to do it during the international break. I'm not saying we should do it right now, but in 3 matches, 1 point in the last 3 games, conceded 6 goals, 7 in the last 4, 8 in the last 5. Got to stop conceding goals. It's going to turn tactics if things don't go well. I agree with you. Yeah. Jim saying, sorry, logging on late. That's okay, mate. Poor choices from Farke. He has now lost us too many points. But who do we get in his place? There's people out there, and money talks as well. You can always get somebody from another club if you're willing to pay for it. So, you can do that as well. Last thing before I wrap up, folks, just to let you know again, the YouTube algorithm has massively changed. It's having a huge impact on the channel and every other Leeds United creator's YouTube channel. We've all spoken about this. If you want to be alerted to videos and you want to keep supporting us, press the notification bell. It's down where the subscribe button is, and keep an eye out for us. But we are very much taking this as a step-by-step approach for the next couple of weeks. I'm in a position now where the views are gone to a point where the living has gone out of it and it's just surviving at this point. So if it doesn't improve in the next couple of weeks or goes back to where it was with YouTube, and YouTube's algorithm is definitely causing the issue. I've looked into it. I've put it on Twitter again today as well. Yeah, the channel could be in a little bit of trouble. I'll have to go and get a 9 to 5 job, in which case morning news goes and the other bits and pieces I have time to do all go away. So yeah, if you can share videos, like them, comment on them, press the hype button if you're watching on demand on the videos, press all that kind of stuff. All that helps us to keep going. But it's not just me. I've spoken to Joe and Connor and other YouTubers as well, and we're all in the exact same position. We're all a little bit worried for where YouTube is heading. They're pushing towards mobile content rather than pushing towards desktop content. If you watch on a laptop, you'll see us. If you watch on a phone, where a lot of people do, you won't see us anymore. So it's a tricky position, but folks, we'll wrap it up there. But again, I appreciate every single person. We disagree on things all the time, and I have no problem with that. And I'm always happy to be proven wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If you're wrong, you're wrong. We'll deal with it, But Jim, thanks for becoming a member as well. I appreciate it. That's the best way to support us. The membership is guaranteed income. So I appreciate that as well. But thanks very much for that. It's not must win, and how pathetic to get beat like that. Absolutely. Yeah. Great show. Appreciate that as well. 2-0 against a rival. Yep. Absolutely. Chris saying, really hope YouTube doesn't kill what's good. It's at the moment, it is killing us. Friday's video is the lowest video we've had in 2 years. So that's a problem. But yeah, hopefully it gets better. Pathetic performance by Leeds. Yep. Cheers, lads. Not critical enough. Not clinical enough. Sorry, that's okay. I thought you said I wasn't being critical enough. Very critical. Very critical. Please, pissed around the summer for players. Yeah. Cheers, folks. Keep conceding too many goals on the Farke. Yeah, that's got to be looked at. We're conceding far too many goals. That's the way it is, folks. Again, just a massive thank you again today for supporting the channel, for watching our content, for liking the videos. I really appreciate it. Back on Monday morning for the news. We might get a Sunday session out in the morning for the members. There is the member stream every week. If we don't get it out on Monday, we'll get another version out during the week. So don't worry, you won't miss out. And outside that, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.